Hey, it's Michael Tiny Soul with the market autopsy video for the week ending October 5th, 2012. Let's take a look at what economic reports are due out next week. Let's start with Monday. And Monday is a bank holiday. It's Columbus Day, but the stock market will trade. So there's the Eurogroup meetings, there's Centex Investor Confidence, German Industrial Production. These are all, these two are at least early in the morning. And I believe this is all day in Europe, so that's early in the morning for the States as well. On Tuesday, Draghi speaks, got the ECOFIN, finance meetings. On Wednesday, you do have the beige book. It's only rated an orange, but I mean, it can move us. I've seen it move us before. Then you have the G7 meetings all day. On Thursday, you got trade balance, unemployment claims, and you got the crude oil inventories are on Thursday this week because of the Monday holiday. You got Stein from the FOMC, he's speaking as well. And then Friday, PPI, preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment, and then Lacker speaks. So a lot of Fed talk this week. All right, so let's take a look at the market. Let's see what happened last week and set up a plan for the coming week. So last week we basically just crept higher here on the S&P. We broke above this little 78.6% retracement of this pullback, but we wound up closing back below it. So technically on a closing basis, this did hold here. Now, I still think we're going to go higher, but as you folks should know by listening to what I'm saying every day in the email and every week in the video, is like I think we're going to go down first before we go up. But if we fail here, we're so close now to a high. If we don't make a new high and go lower, I will watch the 50-day as a first stop. But I think there's a potential that we could even break that. Now, no, I am not calling a top in the market. Okay, I'm not calling a top in the market. Sorry about my voice here, but what I am gonna definitely start, looking on the side of caution, I guess, because this is just, if this can't get to a high here, it just puts in a little high, coupled with the rest of the indexes, which we'll see in a couple of minutes, that could be a sign that a bigger correction is coming. All right, I still think we move higher into the end of the year. Could we just chop it around for ahead of the election? Absolutely, although I just don't think that that's going to be the case, okay? I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to get at least one more movement. Okay, as far as the debate and who won and what that means to the market, in my opinion, this is the election is always better to watch the reaction than to try to guess at first of all who's going to win, and then second of all being positioned ahead of that win, in an appropriate manner. So that's the S&P. Let's go right to the Dow. Now the Dow, again, here's the Dow up here. Let me grab this. I'm using e-signal this time around. So you can see the Dow broke above the high, but couldn't close above the high. This was on Friday. So, it didn't break. It broke above it, but couldn't stay above it. So, again, I don't really look at the Dow as a leader. I look at the NASDAQ and the S&P. Let me just put some more data on this. Apologies. First and foremost. So this is what I was talking about with the other indexes. Okay, the NASDAQ is not confirming here. Now, let's throw a fib grid on here. And we could see that while the S&P came up to the 78.6, this only made it to the 62%. Now, granted, this is a minor swing overall. Okay, it's not like, look how big this move is. But the fact that it only went 62% of its correction when the S&P not only went 78 points, it broke it before closing below it. I mean, this is just, it's lagging, okay? So that's something to absolutely pay attention to. And we could thank Apple for the NASDAQ 100, Apple breaking below its 50-day moving average here for the first time since back here in July. Of course, it retook it almost immediately, so that has to be respected as well. But for now, the Apple did break below its 50-day here, and you can see if it loses this doji, which the low comes in at 650.64. I mean, and it's also has this ledge right here at 644, then it could get a little bit of a deeper retracement here down to maybe this area. Okay, again, not trying to call a top on Apple, but the break below the 50-day is definitely going to get picked up and noticed. Okay, I mean, this time it broke below 50 and went right back above it, but then the next time it sold off for a little bit. So this is definitely one to watch for next week, for this coming week, actually. All right, back to the indexes. Sorry about that little diversion. The Russell also lagging. Now, again, I like to see the Russell act strong in a leadership manner, but I don't need to see it. The NASDAQ is, in my opinion, the boss, still the boss, and the fact that it's not leading here, definitely something to pay attention to. The Russell is just like icing, a little bit of icing or on the cake, or maybe some sprinkles on the cake, whatever it is. Most important, in my opinion, are the NASDAQ and the S&P. So I want to see, now that we're through the indexes, I want to see where this leads early this week. Friday, after the job numbers, which were supposedly good unemployment rate, getting better, etc. I mean, there was talk about coercion or whatever it is because of the political debate. The point is that the numbers were better than expected, and we could not rally there. We gapped up, we stuck around for a little bit, got a little bit of a push, and then we just basically sold off throughout the day. And we didn't get crushed, but it's still, I mean, they couldn't bring us up here on good news, and that's definitely something to pay attention to here. So for next week, I'm going to watch to see what the fallout of that is. Are we going to lead to a little bit of a correction here, or is it just going to be a pause and we're just going to rip it back up? All right, NASDAQ got to get in gear, obviously, and it would be nice to see the Russell get in gear as well. So here's the semiconductors. And the semiconductors, they tried to push up, but they couldn't get past the 20 EMA. So we want to watch this. Want to watch the semiconductors. Here's Clat Tanker, just not acting well. Clat Tanker, I always put as my first semiconductor. Right? If you ever noticed that, somebody asked me, how come I don't put Intel first? And I don't know why. It's a great question. I think it's just because I don't know. I was used to all those years of trading clack, I guess, or at least watching it, if not trading it. I don't know, because it would always be the first one on my semiconductor list to watch, and then play like Novellus off of it or something. That was a long time ago. I don't know. I guess just some habits are hard to break. But you can see here is the pattern right here. Here's Broadcom, another oldie but a goodie. Okay, sitting on its moving averages there. Here's NVIDIA. Okay, you got the 200-day moving average, just under 14. That's going to watch for potential resistance. So you got a little bit of a, let's see what we got here. You got a little bit of a, like a box type pattern or consolidation type pattern. Okay, so let's see what you got here. Yeah, there's something like this. So you got like between 13 and 14, basically, with the exception of a few ticks. All right, what about big old Intel? Yeah, just continuing to show relative weakness. Okay, I mean, it doesn't really look here like a bottoming pattern yet. Could have a small little W pattern here, but really has to get going above this, the 20-day moving average was coming down sharp, as well as the 50 and the 200 going sideways there. Let's look at the banks. Okay, and the banks, I talked about this in the live chat room this week, and I said that the financials are going to be really in focus here. And, I know that's a pretty easy call to make, right? Because, I mean, usually the banks, the financials, they're usually the ones that are moving and that are in charge, but they go through periods, and you could see that right here. For a while, they were down here and they were dead, and then over here, they were just kind of grinding. But now they've kind of perked up here, so I think the banks are an important sector to continue to watch. If this is a double top up here, then that could be reinforcing my opinion of a pullback coming. Bank of America, Okay, tried to go higher, but reversed to close down. JP Morgan, okay, took out the little high here, but again reversed. I mean, it's not looking terrible. It's above the moving averages. Citigroup again. So could these be double tops rather? Sorry, could these be double tops up here? Definitely something to pay attention to. Here's the broker dealer. Whoops, sorry. Would help if I put the dollar sign ahead of it. So the broker dealer, it's been trying to settle in down here. It held the 50-day. It's trying to get a little lift here, but it's under the 200-day still. Definitely not in a a strong looking kind of pattern. Goldman, on the other hand, above the moving averages here. And again, is this going to be a lower high? This was nice. We pointed this out a couple weeks ago. It led to an okay pullback. What's going to set up here? We'll have to see. Here's Morgan. Again, lower high, even underperforming what Goldman was doing. Here's Legg Mason. It's not really acting that well. Cyclicals. Okay, came up, whole number 1,000. Looks like it rejected it on the retest. Lower high possible here. A couple of stocks like Caterpillar. All right, under the moving averages here. So I mean, Caterpillar looks like it could trade lower here. This is it's not technically a true flag because there's no impulse, but I mean, this little pattern is a stealth flag. But the bigger pattern, looking at all this, and let me grab let me grab the tool. Okay, so you got this. I mean, it's a little sloppy, I guess, but I thought it looked better than this, but I guess it doesn't. And I try to get at least one line to look okay, and then kind of put where the other one goes, but it doesn't look like it's going. Yeah, it doesn't look like that's gonna. I mean, it could fit a little bit up there, but something like this, but a bigger picture channel. But you want to see if it can break down from this little coil right here, and it would target at least a new low here, at least a new multi-year low rather, down here, the July lows. All right, so that's one to watch. How about John Deere? Looks basically the opposite. I mean, it's not really in a bull flag, so it's not really the opposite, but it's certainly not acting bearish. It's above the moving averages. It is at the top of a range here, so that's something to pay attention to also. Okay, it's coiling up, trying to coil up here, at the top of a range. Let's see if it can get a push up here, but not doing much here. You have the moving averages more flat than anything. The short term's going up, but then you got just a little bit of an angle here on the 200 and the 50-day here. So. Here are the moving averages, by the way: 20 exponential, 200 simple, 50 simple, 10 simple. All right. Let's look at gold. Yeah, so gold, I gotta get a better chart of this. Okay, here we go. So gold, we watched this triangle, came out of the triangle, now it's coming up here. Watch the 175 mark. This is GLD. This is SLV. Okay. Also a nice push up here. I mean, it looks like it's trying to. It looks like it's trying its best to pattern up here, but gotta wait for confirmation on it. All right, this. Okay. It looks like it's trying to pattern up here. Oil took a little bit of a hit this week. It tried to make a comeback on Thursday, but then Friday again. So it's under the moving averages now. Hey, I saw gas go down today, so maybe that's a good sign. Let's look at some stocks. Amazon, possible lower high in here. Got to watch this here. This is one of the leaders, and if it starts acting like that, got to definitely pay attention. Google, okay, I've been talking about this as being very overbought, which means that it's due a pullback here. What kind of a pullback it gets? Does it just get a nice shallow pullback that brings it to a buying opportunity, Well, could it get a decent correction? Right, 30 points just to the 20 EMA, and you see it likes going to that 20 on the way up here. So very tough to just get short Google. Let's get short the strongest stock on the board. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but it's something to watch if you're nimble, if you're a short-term swing trader or a day trader, and you can watch it. Google may be one that could provide an opportunity. So got to look at it. Baidu just basically sideways. Cena. Okay, pulling back. Watch to see if it gets to that 200. If the 250 pair up here, converge here, it could be a buying opportunity there. Let's see what happens. Here's RIM. Okay, so RIM, big downtrend. You guys know I'm a RIM hater for the stock. I really, not personal. I was looking for this to go to $5 and never quite got there. And the momentum started to slow down as it started to go low. Now it's up above these short-term moving averages here, and it's trying to coil. Is it a buy yet? I don't believe it is. Okay, but I mean, my opinion doesn't matter. It matters, what you do with your money. But right here, it's tough for me because I still think there's a long road ahead for RIM here. With that saying, maybe someone will buy them out or something. I don't know, but I'm not really up to date with all that, with what's going on in the M&A community. See if anybody wants to buy or if it's even feasible to do that. Which, of course, everything in the end is feasible if they want it to be. But you can see here we're up at the top of the range here, and now we're coiling up right at the top of the range. So maybe it could get a little extension out of the upside here. But why I love these patterns, okay, and despite personal hatred for the stock in itself, is that you know where you're wrong very quickly, right? So if there's a long trigger up above through here, then your stop is real close. So that's something to look at. I mean, I don't let my personal feelings go into my analysis, so I try not to. But right now maybe it's showing signs of life. Full on reversal up to 500 from here. Yeah, I don't think so. But I guess stranger things can happen. But for now, it looks like it has an opportunity to maybe try to break out of this little range here. All right, Netflix. Another dog, okay? And this looks like a bigger picture double bottom. Okay, it's actually 1, 2, 3, a triple bottom. Triple bottoms usually don't hold, but this so far has. Now, I talked about this in the chat room, and I talked about, what I like to watch when we get a breakout like this is I don't like these bars. I don't like boom, boom, okay, because that's short-term exhaustion. All right. And what I want to see is rather than buying a breakout here, I want to see us coil up right here. Like if it could go a little bit higher and then come back and then form a nice little coil here or a nice little, small pattern, something like this. Okay. At least then you can lean against something. But Netflix has the potential here. I mean, the gap is up here, right? About 9 or whatever it is, 9 or 10 points. And you got the 200-day up here, about 17 points away or so. So, I mean, there is potential here, but it's beaten down for a reason. But Netflix, I mean, even if it doesn't do like a little, you see this little coil, like pretend this coil was up here is what I'm saying. But even if it does do that, even if it just kind of pulls back a little, then comes up and tests it, these are the spots that you want to look at for potential bigger moves because, we're right at the edge of a range. And like I said, when we looked at RIM, you could quantify your risk very easily, right? It's not like, okay, if I buy this breakout, where's my stop? Well, I'll just use a couple point stop. Well, why? The moving averages are right here. Why don't you use them? All right, we'll go onto them. Well, why? You got the lows right here. Why don't you go onto there? Yeah, all right. And then you got to say, well, geez, I got to give this thing a 12-point stop. And that's a challenge, right? Sometimes it makes it untradeable or uninvestable, unplayable. But if you wait for a pattern to set up and then make it, instead of a 12-point stop or a 5-point stop or a 7-point stop, maybe it can be a 2-point stop. It can be more manageable, okay? So that's just, it's just ideas. I don't know what this is going to do. This could just fail right back down. And if it does, and it doesn't form like a nice little pattern there, then you know what? okay, you go elsewhere, you look elsewhere, right? Amgen, talked about Amgen this week in the chat room as it was breaking out. We said, okay, this looks like it's ready to break out, and it did. Let me grab. I'm sorry that I keep stumbling over these drawing tools. I just haven't used eSignal in a while, and I don't want to fire up my TradeStation on this computer because I have it running so nice on my other one. All right, so here's the. You guys are like, hey, let's watch Tiny Fumble. All right, so here's the breakout here. Looks like it could keep going here, but what's this a sign of, right? You got the close below the open, and then you have a little doji here. What's that telling you? That's telling you, hey, it could be losing its steam up here. So just something to pay attention to on Amgen. Maybe it wants to pull back and test and hold. Here's price line. A little more sloppy than anything here on top of the moving averages. Here's CMG. And boy, how the mighty have fallen. This is one of the strongest uptrends. Because see this just this grinding action. One of the most strongest uptrends I've seen in a while. And then it just topped out. And now it's just, looks like it wants to retest the lows. Will it break them? I don't know. Again, it's the same thing. It's just like a flip on RIM or Netflix. Right? You want to see, is that what you want to see? You want to see big bars going through, or would you like to see it stall there and maybe pause, and then maybe you can get a grip on it there, right? So that's that's at least what I look for when I'm looking at setups. Okay, let's see what we got. Let's look at a weekly chart of this. Yeah, so this is, I don't really use the 200 weekly. I just have it because it was on my daily chart. But let's see if we could draw some lines. It's below this, right? No, not yet. Okay, so you got support right here. All right, and then from here, you got support right here. All right, there's some stuff to pay attention to. Okay, on this one. And I'm at 22 minutes, so I got to call it. Anyway, so again, I want to see if we're going to get some corrective action here. If the S&P does break the highs and it's just the S&P and the Dow and the NASDAQ doesn't get in gear here, that could also lead to a selling opportunity. But if we pull back here, I'm watching for the 50-day moving average, okay, at a minimum on the downside if we can get going here. And like I said, not calling the top here. I still think we have a good chance of going higher into the year end. That's subject to change, obviously. Right, it's all it is just, hey, this is what I'm looking at on a bigger picture. To me, I like going day by day and really hour by hour. So, if we do get a nice solid pullback and hold support, it could be an opportunity, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So this has been Michael Tiny Saul, Market Autopsy video for the week ending October 5th. Feel free to contact me, tiny@stockmarkettrendx.com, with any questions, and get your butt in the live chat room. Last week was our first full week, and I'm still ironing some kinks out. So this coming week, it's going to have totally free access. All you have to do is register, and you're in. You don't have to put a credit card up. You don't have to worry about canceling or you're going to get charged. Okay, it's not what's going to happen. Just stop on in. You don't even have to put up credit card information. Stop in for the week, check it out. We look at stocks, and we focus on the S&P futures for market structure and as well as for potential trade opportunities. So I hope to see you there this week. Have a great week. If I don't see you, newsletter about to come out, and you guys will be able to look at that. We're also going to give a free test drive of that for those people who can't access the live chat room during the day for whatever reason. This way you'll have your nightly newsletter with market timing, some possible day trades, and some possible swing trades as well. So talk to everybody soon. Have a great week, and that's it. Talk to you via the morning email or in next week's Market Autopsy video.